Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello and welcome back.
Hello, everybody. How do you do?
We are doing great this evening, and as always, it's a Sunday night, and we're here to do last orders at the bar. So, strap in, guys, and get ready for an hour of hilarity and nonsense, or just us reading super chats and trying to be funny. You know, whichever way you want to interpret it, I guess.
Isn't it nuts that we stay in the bar from Thursday till Sunday?
Yeah, that's a long shift. I mean, someone has to do it, I guess, and I guess we're the guys for it.
Yep.
Well, we have to go home at some point, and they are calling last orders after the end of this. So I think we should get into it and see if we can finish up before we get turfed out.
All right then.
All right, the first question here is from Mega Spidey Man, who asks us, to all, your favorite Lois Lane and why her?
I'm trying to think of my options here.
So you got Margot Kidder, is that her name? You got Amy Adams. You've got whatever the new girl's called.
Well, the new girl's Rachel Brosnahan or Brosnan or something like that, right?
Yeah, you got Terry Hatcher from The New Adventures of Superman. And I can't remember, who was Lois Lane from Superman Returns?
That's a good question. It must have been someone famous, right?
Let's see. Kate Bosworth. So, I did really like Terry Hatcher, actually, as Lois Lane. I thought she gave a nice, like, charming portrayal, like, not too kitschy or anything, and not, like, too girl bossy. They just found the right balance, probably because it was made in the 90s. So I think I'd probably go with her.
The thing is, that is the one I'm most familiar with, funnily enough, other than rewatching, like, some of the movies.
Yeah.
Amy Adams never... never buzzed, never gave me anything. So, and to be fair, I'm not like a huge Lois Lane person anyway.
It's because you hate women, Mauler. Just admit it.
That is besides the point, sir.
It's like, well, that's a given, obviously. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, probably say Manson.
Okay, that's fair. Let's go for the next one. Master of Puppets says, have any of you seen Tag, considered by many to be the standalone Hawkeye film? And did you know that Black Panther is white now? Sorry, random, but the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings are better. Does he think the theatrical's better? We need to correct him on that one.
Damn. I've not seen Tag, but that sounds funny. They just made a film where Jeremy Renner is using a bow, and at the same time as, whatever.
The comparisons are there. And yes, apparently, like, the son of T'Challa in the comics now is going to be a white guy. So naturally, people are up in arms because
finally,
yeah,
what we needed.
I couldn't help but comment on that, where it's like, oh, so now it's a problem, huh? Race swapping characters. Funny how that works, huh?
We live it in clown world.
Oh god, it's just, well, there we are. Mo Keynes says, I would still clap Helen Mirren's cheeks. I mean, they've got to be some saggy cheeks at this point, man, but whatever floats your boat. Enoch Mammon says, regardless of our opinions of the recent Mission Impossible movie, can we all agree that the cameraman was intentionally zooming in on Haley Atwell's chest? Oh yeah, I remember reading that one out with great relish.
You need to read more than once, though.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing there. Indeed, they did. Civi Vortax says, loved your Dungeon Crawler Carl character. Fitting character for you. Yeah, people still mention that even now. That was like 5 years ago, probably, I did that. It's crazy.
What is that?
Oh, come on. You must know this one.
Dungeon Crawler.
Yeah. So it's a series of audiobooks, and It's like fantasy sort of thing. And yeah, not long after my channel took off, someone approached me and said, "Hey, we've got this character of like a drunken train driver or something in it, and we'd like you to play him." He's just like, you only get like maybe a page or two of dialogue, so it's really easy to record. We'll get you into a recording studio, and you record your lines, and there'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, yeah, sure, okay, I'll give it a shot. And so I did that, not thinking much of it. I guess it's like a lot more famous than I imagined at the time. And so even now, people are still like, "Oh shit, you were in Dungeon Crawler, Carl." So there you go. My pointless.
That's pretty cool. Story. I know the Dungeon Crawler and Carl guy.
Well, yeah, he crawls with the best of them through those dungeons. John Thomas. Gunn decided it was a good idea to change truth, justice, and the American way. I decided to nope out. Funny how that works. They just can't help themselves. Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned this on the night. Like, the American way thing has been missing from Superman since Superman Returns, like way back in the early 2000s. So
that's one of those Gunn. Do it cowards sort of things.
Yes. It would have been kind of neat if he'd brought it back, just just for that old school appeal, but I guess not. Starbug Smeg says, started watching Brave New World on stream. I fell asleep. We'll power through with it later tonight. I can already see the evidence of reshoots. I think I would have to ask the question of why? Like, what's the point in powering through it? You're not going to get anything out of it. Like, if a film's that bad, it literally puts you to sleep. It is not worth your time.
True.
Vanessa says, I can't wait for a review of Fantastic Four Drinker. I was out when Pedro was cast as Reed, but everything that has been revealed since then has reaffirmed my decision not to see it. Yeah, I think there was a tweet that went out yesterday saying that Sue Storm is officially the leader of the Fantastic Four. Because of
yay!
I know. I think they're almost like, well, the game's up. Fuck it. We're just going to go all in now. Just embrace it. Sure. Keep digging deeper, guys.
Was it in the tweet, or is it someone comment on it saying like, this makes sense considering a lot of the times if it wasn't for her, the missions wouldn't be successful? And it's like, isn't the point that the mission wouldn't be successful without all of them? That's the whole idea.
I thought they were a team, yeah. And to be honest with you, if I had to pick someone to lead the team, it would probably be the smartest man on the planet.
Seems to line up. Maybe
probably
that's just
makes
crazy.
Sense. Yeah. Daval says Stuckman wears a shirt that says filmmaker. I hope that's true. Quantum Ranger Power says, I still bet that it won't be Franklin, but Francine. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we can't have super-powered male babies. We have to be female, don't you know? Pie Guy says, has Echo been on EFAP yet? They'll Stuckmanize you.
No, I don't think so. It's difficult to inundate people into EFAP who aren't already familiar because it's such an insane format.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got to spare 10 hours to talk about one movie. It's like, what? Like,
I mean, you could just do what I do and drop out after like 2 hours and be like, I'm tired. Leave me alone. I want to go away.
It's always possible.
Snex says, fear not, citizens. Mary Sue Storm and Silver Surf Her are here to save the day. Also, Pedro's gay, by the way.
Cool.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's pure Marvel cheese. It's exactly on brand for them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is how it all gets resolved. The Imperial Brick says, it's called First Steps because they're going to fall and continue crawling like a baby. Or maybe the baby takes his first steps during this. Who are we to say? Andy Freaking Rules says, hey, Mauler and Drinker, I wanted to ask if there's any bad blood with you guys in YMS. It's been a while since we've seen you all together on a stream. I mean, I don't think I've ever been on a stream with YMS. And I'm very comfortable with that.
Is there a bad blood? I mean, I'd be happy to talk to him whenever he wants, but collaborations are probably set to a 0 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he likes me. From
Definitely
what I understand.
Doesn't like you. I don't think he likes me either.
And like, I'm fairly indifferent towards him, really. Just let him do his thing. Mike Hunt says, apparently David Tennant auditioned for Reed Richards but got turned down. Is that true? I had heard rumblings about that.
That would have been interesting to see him give a shot to, I guess.
I mean, he's definitely got the look for Reed Richards. Like, he is a kind of weedy looking guy, so maybe that might have worked. Grant says, if you had a voucher to buy one IP of any studio, what would you use it on? And once you bought it, what would you do with it? I mean, we've asked the same kind of question many times. You know, if you could save one IP, what would it be? I think we both usually answer Star Wars.
Yeah, I would genuinely feel like it's a service to culture to try and save Star Wars.
Yeah. I kind of alternate between that and Star Trek. If I could save one, depends what kind of mood I'm in that day. Nebraska Because says, F4, I just don't care. Zero care normies care less. Well, there you go. I think you're right, though. Paul Stramby says, dropping into my favorite bar, the open bar. That is the best kind of bar.
Oh, yeah.
The Shady Puffer says, thank God we got Andor with Krennic, Partagaz, Luthen, and Cassian himself, who are masculine, which comes with both flaws and benefits in a very real way. Imagine that, eh?
I want more Partagaz.
We know that.
We're not going to be getting that.
If you could just get a spin-off with him just being really efficient and like crushing rebels, would you just be a happy man?
Efficiency. Is that too much to ask?
Shaker Silver, but Drinker, we got more Johnny in D&W plus clap. What's that? More Johnny in... Okay. What would that be? We got more Johnny in D&W. Please clap.
D&W. Deadpool and Wolverine?
But did we?
Was he in that? Was he a cameo?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, sorry, man. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, but we'll clap anyway. Yay.
Oh, wait. Johnny is in Johnny Human Torch.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're obviously being sarcastic because that was a shite cameo.
Well, I mean, it was nice to see Chris Evans get skinned alive, so swings and roundabouts. David Gannon, hail to the panel. The Thing really isn't tough to write for in an origin movie. Look at what they did in 2005. I mean, sure, like, he's sad because he's a rock monster now. I'd be sad too.
Yeah.
You're so disconnected there. You're like, nah, I could live with it.
That's all right.
RM says, can you briefly explain why you hate Harry Potter? Is that one for me? I guess it's got to be.
Do you hate Harry Potter?
Not that I'm aware of. So my attitude towards it until fairly recently has been like, yeah, I get that it's like massively popular. I just kind of don't give a fuck about it. Like, never really have. It's just not been my thing. Like, if you were asking me to, you know, what's your favorite franchise with wizards and magic and stuff, it would have been Lord of the Rings. That's kind of my style of fantasy. But that being said, I started reading the books recently out of curiosity, and yeah, it's pretty fun. You know, I'm just on the early ones before they get like darker and more complicated and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, I can see the appeal of this. It's okay. If I was like a 12-year-old kid, I would be having a blast reading this probably. Maybe it just came at the wrong time for me. But yeah, I do not hate Harry Potter. I'm still just like slightly indifferent towards it, but like I'm warming up. Maybe by the time I'm yeah, maybe by the time I'm done, I'll just be fucking obsessed with it.
Neat.
Jeremy Soden, Whedon will be brought in after Corin Sweat has moved on to a new film requiring facial hair. Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, no, whatever production would ever announce Whedon working for him immediately would be hit with, like, monsters, how could you?
Yeah, pretty much. Revan says, I'm currently making a Birdman video and it's becoming very long. There are points in the video where I get angry and I insult him because he's awful. Will this detract from my credibility? I would say if you feel like that, then try to avoid yelling and just being like angry, shouty man, because that doesn't really achieve much.
People love some wit. If you want to throw in some ironic insults or, you know, show some examples of projection or anything like that, if insults come out of that, then so be it. But might want to avoid just letting yourself get real mad at a person because it'll if you're looking to persuade, it ain't going to do it with stuff like that.
Yeah. Revan also says, another question, any tips on long-form content, Mauler? I'm passionate about making this video and I'm being as thorough as possible. Anything else?
I mean, that's key. The thing that I'll warn everyone about is, you know, your passions will run somewhat dry on extremely long-form content. And don't take that as an example of, oh, well, I shouldn't have made this video. It's more so just, you're human. It's going to run out eventually. And to anticipate that, just try and get the creative stuff done earlier if you can. And what I mean by that is the script writing I consider to be more, you know, creatively focused than, let's say, audio cutting, which is much more of a almost robotic process. So if you can move to get all of the fiery, passionate, creative processes done earlier than the extremely boring and mundane parts. I am currently dealing with this on the massive project I'm making. It makes some of the days go by a lot longer when you've got difficult to get passionate about stuff to do when you're fucking looking down a whole year of having worked on a thing. But you know, if you're nailing it, like if you got you're no worries on that front, then hey, you know, you'll be fine maybe.
I mean, you're like the way you're describing that there, I'm quietly despairing just listening to it. It sounds awful.
It's been rough. You know, I'm counting down the days to get into that completion. I'm nearly there.
I'm sure it really helps though when you've got people hassling you, saying like, "Oh, come on, you've not made a new video in like a year."
The best is when you get told you don't work at all. Love it. It's funny because you're one of like 5 people who know in the world. That's it.
Yep. And it's like, it always sounds so hollow coming from me. Like, yes, trust me, Mauler is working his ass off and there's a bunch of stuff on the way. It's just like, it's not quite ready yet.
They'll get it eventually. And then they'll be like, this was it. And be like, that was it. For months and months and months and months. That was it.
Next question. High Tech Wizard says, can we get a critical gamer review on the 007 First Light video game trailer? There are some modern Hollywood tropes for story, but good Hitman developers. Sure, I will happily talk about that. I just put out a video today, giving my thoughts on the new Resident Evil trailer. So yeah, I'm happy to look at that one next. G. Owen Wares says, The Thing is the Final Fantasy Fantastic Four character with the most depth. He is like a latter-day Frankenstein's monster. Check out his solo miniseries for more details. Yeah, I think I hurt people's feelings when I said The Thing was maybe a bit simplistic. I don't know, okay? Not an expert on the comics. Yeah, fool of a toque. Zeitgeist Ruminator. Emotional drama in some modern storytelling seems so contrived. I know this isn't the intention, as it tends to be promoted as deeper than it actually is. It's very superficial. See modern Star Trek. Yeah, we did talk a bit about this kind of thing on Open Bar the other night, where I think people confuse big expressions of melodramatic emotion with depth and and meaning, where you can actually convey so much more with less emotional expression. I think Echo Chamberlain described it as emotional incontinence that we have to deal with now, and he's 100% right. The Proctophile says, Gentlemen, I'm not usually the type to bully, but until Brawler watches T2, I'm going to make an exception and invite you to join me until he does. Yeah, we gave him a... I know, that's... Sometimes people say things and you're like, okay, you just like trolling here. Are we having a laugh or is this real? No, it's real.
I think because we'd all have different rankings, right? But like some people are like, oh, come on, all of us haven't seen certain movies. It's like, yeah, but there are some, right? Like Lord of the Rings is one of the top ones on that list for me of just you're in the movie review space and you haven't seen Lord of the Rings. That's amazing.
I know, but I can sort of understand that a little bit more. Like, you know, in Snarky J,
the quintessential, fundamental fantasy movie.
Sure,
like
but then
genre's linchpin.
Exactly, yeah, I 100% agree. But say you're just not necessarily into fantasy, it might not really float your boat. And so when she said it, I was like, oh, okay, I can sort of understand why you haven't seen it in particular, but you probably should. I think you would still enjoy it, even if it's not necessarily your genre.
I think considering how much of a nerd she is, it makes less sense. You know, if it was like your average girl who's talking about Barbie movies, which that's what they all do, by the way, then yeah, it would make sense.
Every goddamn one.
100%.
But yeah, we all gave Brawler a really hard time once the camera stopped rolling. And
we beat him up.
He's quite sad by the end of it. So yeah, he's intending to rectify that as soon as possible.
Good.
Brave Blue says, "Hello, Drinker. If you're looking for a good movie to watch, then I'd highly recommend Emesis Blues. That one is actually a really good film to watch on YouTube, which has 14 million views." Emesis Blues. I've never heard of that one, but I'll keep it in mind.
All right, then.
Eatman says, "To people who feel that Bella shouldn't be judged on her casting, when should an actor be ridiculed for the choices they make for accepting a role?"
Well, so technically, she made a good choice, money-wise, and somewhat with fame. I don't know that, like, if she were a family member of yours and she were given this opportunity, I doubt you'd say, like, you're not suitable enough for the character, as opposed to go for it.
I would say that. Like, what's wrong with you fucking retard?
It's such a fucking difficult industry that it'd be like, you're gonna want to grab that opportunity as soon as you can.
I mean, it's a toughie, right? Because, all right, okay, put me into this hypothetical situation where it's like she is a family member and she's taken on this role, and she comes to me and says, like, "Okay, you know, I've gotten this role presented to me. Like, I'm a shoo-in if I want it. What do you think? Should I take it?" And I think my advice might be, it might be quite split. On the one hand, I would say, yep, it's an amazing career opportunity. You'll make a lot of money from it and you'll get way more exposure than you've ever had. On the other hand, we need to be aware of how people will perceive you. And they're going to compare you and how you look to the Ellie from the games and the other actresses who may have taken this role, and it's not going to be favorable. And they are probably going to give you a lot of shit for it. And that's something you have to keep in mind. It could actually hurt you in the long run, even if it's a short-term, huge benefit.
I mean, season 1 would have probably been very good for her career-wise, but now season 2, we'll have to see what the damage of that is ultimately. Maybe she'll end up in... I mean, has there been... I don't know if they're memes or not, but like speculation of what role she might have past... Because she's not really going to be in season 3, I'm guessing, right? Or...
It'll be limited, I should think. I mean, that's assuming, like, because it's not going to get past season 3 anyway. I don't know if they were planning to do a season 4 or what, but I just can't.
I can't fucking believe they'll actually be in some boardroom going like, "What went wrong, guys?" And it's like, oh, come on, you can't, like, you guys especially don't get to make this. They have that fucking question. You've done it already in one industry, a bigger industry, for the record.
But I think as well, like, you have to consider, in her case, I guess, what's her long-term prospects as an actress? Because I think it's fair to say she's not really leading lady material.
Well, and that's kind of what I mean by, like, what's in the pipe. And if her agent was like, you know, we got this, and then maybe some smaller roles and some other things, it'd be like, well, you gotta go for the last.
Sure. And it might be that, like, because she's, as far as I know, she's kept a fairly low profile despite all the, you know, the criticism she's gotten. I don't think she's ever, like, you know, given an interview where she's like, "Oh, the fans are fucking assholes for, like, you know, making fun of me," or whatever. She's just clammed up about it, which is, you know, absolutely the most sensible thing to do. Just don't engage with it.
What's her name from Acolyte? She didn't do a rap or whatever.
Oh yeah, Stenberg.
What the fuck? That was an era.
That was possibly one of the cringiest things I've seen, and that's a pretty high bar. Let's see. Totorangi says, "Thoughts on the new 007 game? Haven't seen the trailer yet, but I am happy to do my reaction to it." Good King says, "Tenet is a 10, but backwards." Wow, deep.
Nice.
Ian Parks, will you guys be reviewing Alien Earth?
Yes.
I think we'll watch at least a few episodes, don't you think?
I'll watch the whole thing. I don't know how this works. I couldn't answer this question for anybody, but, like, there are just some franchises where I'm like, I'm out and I'm never going back. Doctor Who would be that one.
Yeah.
But there are some where I'm just like, I will be there forever, front row seat. Because there's some guys, it's like I hate them for it and I must see what they do.
Do you think there's any potential that this could be really fucking good?
I mean, as with everything, right? There's a chance. I'll say this: it went from a 5 in my head, like completely, middle of the road. Could be anything. After the trailer, it went down. And you'd be like,
Right.
"What? It's a cool trailer." And you'd be like, "No, it's not. It's the same fucking thing we always get every time." I'm exhausted.
Starbucks Meg says, it looks like the impact of Andor has created a division amongst the Star Wars fan base. Can a future film or TV show from the IP reunite all fans? I wouldn't say that like Andor created a division in the Star Wars fan base. It was pretty divided already.
Yeah, divided is a nice way to put it. It's shattered, splintered. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
One thing you could say it's done that wasn't present before is shine a huge fucking spotlight on just how bad Filoni Favreau content is. That's what the discussion has been the last few weeks, which I think is hilarious because the pressure is fucking on for Filoni now. Mando and Grogu and Ahsoka season 2, if they're both crap, which they will be, there's gonna be some conversations.
Yeah,
that quote, he's the Ahsoka guy, not the Andor guy. I love it. I love it so
much. Jamaican Bacon says Shin Godzilla is good and coming back to theaters. Excellent. Zlumpy says, can I get an Alien versus Predator versus Babadook? I mean, sure. Do you want us to theorize who would win?
Isn't Babadook is like a mentally illness creature, right? He's not even, if I remember that correctly, he's not even real.
You could have a predator that's got like mental illness and trauma and stuff. You don't know.
Yeah, okay. I think they lose though. The mental illness creature is probably unstoppable, right? You got to overcome him by reaching an equilibrium within your own self-actualization. The predator needs to understand he is worthwhile.
Yes, he matters. He is Knuff.
He does.
Right, so David Gannon says, when and not if Alien Earth has Wayland Yutani learn all about the xenomorph, it ruins the Alien/Aliens story. If Wayland Yutani as a whole knew about the xenomorphs before Alien, then why did they leave the planet alone long enough for the colonial, where is part 2? Administration to survey the planet and then help set up a civilian colony in the vague hopes that they stumble across the ship? Why wouldn't they lay claim to the planet first and then set a lab next to the ship?
Welcome to Alien continuity.
I mean, presumably they don't know where the xenomorph came from. Like this ship that crash lands on Earth or whatever planet it is, well, I assume it's Earth, it might not be a Wayland Yutani ship. It either might be an alien ship or like some other bounty hunter or something like that, and they found it. So we don't know. There also might be other planets that have xenomorphs on them.
It's just going to frustrate the hell out of me because they do this all the time. They just want to inject their own shitty stories in the middle of the classic ones. Go away. It's almost the point of Star Wars. Like, can you go to some distant part of the galaxy and do your own shit?
Yeah. Did we ever talk about this like weird incongruity between Alien and Aliens, where they set up a colony on this planet, but they somehow don't notice the gigantic crashed spaceship that's like, within driving distance of the atmosphere processors?
They make it as well. So the incongruity for me would be the signal, right? Because the reason the Nostromo found it was the SOS. So that would need to have been disabled / ran out. I can't remember if there's any explanation for that. I'd have to go into it. But what we're supposed to just simply believe is a portion of LV-426 was colonized, and they can't survey the entire planet immediately. They just went to a portion of it, I guess.
I think I remember someone talking about this. There was either in a novelization or something like that, or just like the expanded universe, that there had been like some kind of seismic event on the planet that had damaged the crashed spaceship and that had shut off the beacon. That's why in the, like, what would you call it? In the extended version of Aliens, when you actually see them go to the ship, there's like a big gaping hole ripped in the side of it. It's meant to be that, like, it's basically there's been an earthquake or something that's damaged it and killed the signal.
Which is kind of just like, okay.
It's pretty weak, but whatever.
Well, you know what? I'd say it's a lot stronger because it doesn't make it into Aliens. like as even a throwaway line, which I would have appreciated because it is kind of a big deal to make sure everything runs.
Yeah. Well, I think generally because it's only noticeable because I think the continuity is usually pretty good between these movies. You know, I don't feel like they contradict each other too much, which is just nice.
Well, so this is the thing, isn't it? When we're dealing with the fucking legendary ones, it's like this very small, simple, very solvable thing, and it's like, okay, I guess that could be that way, and that's fine. The new ones is usually like it uplifts the entire fucking lore of the whole universe. It's like, cool, thank you.
Matthew Cooper says, finally, a strong female lead for the Alien franchise. About time, I say. What took so long? Well, I mean, it's a tradition at this point, isn't it? The Alien movies always have a female lead. Obviously going all the way back to Ripley and then Shaw, whatever the fucking girl was called from Alien Covenant that no one can remember. And then, you know...
Man, yeah, I don't remember her name. I've seen that movie several times, unfortunately.
And then the girl from Romulus, yeah. So it's always like traditionally been female. What's kind of interesting is that Predator was traditionally male, but that's flipped. Yeah, the flip only happens in one direction, obviously.
I think it's weird as fuck to be like, Alien must have a female protagonist every time. It's like, why?
Yeah. Because Disney now. I mean, that's just... Reno the Turk says, oh my god, the Alien franchise is going to get Brendan Gleeson. No! Hashtag cheers, hashtag it hurts.
No.
Gord King says, Timothy Oliphant as the Collector. I don't know, what the fuck's going on with his hair in that?
Don't know, but I'm curious about that.
It did have a bit of a Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner look about it, which was odd. Andrew Valdez, you got to change that little drinker recommend schedule in the corner. Lol. I mean, I could, but do I want to? I don't know. Maybe. Duval says, Mum, Grandad Ridley escaped the nursing home again. God. He's at it again. He's going to direct another movie.
Stop him.
Huffley, wouldn't a xenomorph landing on Earth be just game over for everyone? Wasn't that a plot point in Resurrection? I mean, yeah, you'd think so. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to make it.
It should have been game over in Requiem, but that movie's shit, so don't worry about it.
Oh, Christ, yeah. Though I just blanked those movies from my head. There was us talking about the chronology of like human exposure to xenomorphs, and it's fucking there in like the 2000s.
It is kind of remarkable in how unremarkable that film is. I rewatched it, talked to a Dark Hour about it, and there's like no characters in it.
No.
They're the thinnest archetypes ever. It's like sheriff man, main character man, woman girl. You're like,
woman girl. It's quite a big cast of characters, as I recall.
Yeah, but there's just nothing of substance in the entire movie. You can, because it was made, it's like a director duo, and they both, like, their craft was special effects, and the movie itself has quite a few moments of like, oh, that looks pretty good. Like, the special effects aren't too bad in it, but it's fucking dark as hell, as you probably remember. Yes. And there's just no story, which, you know, other than it's a predator and he's trying to kill a bunch of aliens until everything blows up at the end. You're like, okay.
Yeah. Aaron Charman says, I listened to the Alien 3 audiobook by William Gibson based on a forgotten script. Thanks for the recommendation, Drinker. No problem indeed. Yeah, that was the development of that movie was fascinating. The various iterations it went through. And yeah, a lot of people are suggesting now that the initial abandoned film project was going to be much better. It was going to be like the Cold War in space, where they were going to use the xenomorphs as, you know, the ultimate weapon against the other factions. It had some neat moments in it. It would have had Hicks in it as well, which was nice. But never happened. Talos World says, I wish they would just make Aliens again. Pure action and a strong cast with no agendas. Imagine they made aliens and dinosaurs crashed on Earth. Sure, okay. Aliens versus dinosaurs. In fact, you could have colonial marines riding genetically engineered dinosaurs into battle. We're always told how good the raptors are as weapons.
We're just veering into what Jurassic World currently is. So, there we
That's
go.
a good point, actually. Kevin O'Neill says they won't let the aliens win, but they won't be outright defeated either because next product. Yeah, they'll go into hiding.
Speaking of which, Romulus 2 is already pre-production. Woohoo!
Of course it is.
More rain. She's gonna get out of that cage, bro.
Yep. she's a beautiful canary, Mauler, trapped in a cage.
Let her fly.
She's just got to be free. Jay Fraser says, "Hail gents, for the trial by fire script submissions, is there any genre that is off limits, and is the maximum length of the script pitch 10 pages?" I mean, I guess porn should be off limits, but I'm not against it. But as for length, yeah, about 10 pages is probably the maximum. You can go to 11 if you really need to, but like, yeah.
It's worth mentioning what would be off limits is likely stuff that's like, oh, I want to have the huge space sequence with two armadas against each other with the, but you're like, oh wait, no.
Sure, I mean, but you could, like, if you're talking there about a sci-fi genre, it could be doable. Like, you can do a sci-fi short with a limited budget. It's just a case of how you frame it and stuff. But yeah,
also,
you can't have like epic war battle scenes
yeah.
or space combat or anything like that, because obviously it's a small budget. So I think people, from what we've seen so far in terms of script submissions, most people have understood the assignment and they've actually given us some pretty decent stuff to work with. So that is good. Next up is Gary Barber. Best film to series is MASH. Yeah, that did pretty damn well. The Imperial Brick says, "All hail Star Wars: The Clone Wars." Okay. Clank Clank, I'm a Tank says, "Oh yeah, let's throw in that Yautja." I never know how to say it. It's Yautja.
Yeah, that's it, as far as I know.
All right. That looks like Michelle Obama make a predictable sci-fi show with little action and no horror. Fair. Snex says, "Look up Darth Vader said what video? They dub over Vader with lines from other James Earl Jones films." Well, indeed, then. You should honestly do. You should look up Bricktop does Star Wars, where they they put Bricktop's voice over Darth Vader.
Yeah, I love Bricktop. He's awesome. Which is funny too, because he's like isn't he the bartender in Lock, Stock?
Yes, he is. Yeah, very small role. They obviously like the actor, and they're like, "Yeah, let's give him more to do."
Oh, it reminds me of I'm pretty sure he's like a card player in one of Guy Ritchie's films, the Ritchie in Mobland. It's like he got given the fucking villain role, which it's just cool to mix and match, see what people are capable of, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that dub over they did, like the moment where Vader ignites his lightsaber and Bricktop just goes, "They will go through bone like butter."
Do you know what nemesis means?
Yeah. Feed him to the pigs, Errol. Raukoi says, "Today, 40 years ago, June 5th, 1985, Ferris Bueller took a day off." That is cool. 40 years, Jesus. Thinking Heretic says, "Was that Snow White in the Alien trailer? Similar hair." Incognito says, "So, we need a prequel show for how Anakin went from a whiny man-child to a smooth talker. Maybe there was a Palpatine public speaking center." Sure. Just him, like, learning to address people properly, find his inner confidence.
No, Vader, you've got to sound cooler. You sound lame. What do
Remember
you mean,
to
Palpatine?
draw your words out. So, Sleepy Arcane Doggo. The squiddy things in Alien Earth better be called Maulites. They better. J Bone McSwiggins, you looking forward to Naked Gun with Liam Neeson?
I love Naked Gun. That's all I'll say about that. We'll see.
Still the Buster says they should just release another Prey movie, but this time have a xenomorph randomly crash land and have War Chief Naru single-handedly take it on. Might as well.
You fucking watch. They will combo up those timelines.
They are going to do another Prey, aren't they? I think those are the rumblings.
Yeah. Well, we got. So the Badlands one has an android in it, right, from Wayland Yutani. So that there's already like the beginnings of them trying to restitch the universe. I think that's what we're heading toward. And then Prey 2 is probably a thing as well, and fucking Romulus 2 and 3 and Alien Earth seasons 5 and 6. Just spam, get it all out.
Yep. Got to open that content sludge pipe. Starbug Smeg. Drinker, Mauler, have you ever gone back to some 90s classic PC games? I recommend Realms of the Haunting from 96. It's available on Steam, but originally came as a 4 CD box with 120 minutes of FMV. Damn, that's a lot of FMV.
Funny thing about that, I am a hyper PC gamer at this point. Have been now for like 2 decades. Catching up with games that are coming out today is like impossible. I actually recently, I don't know if have you ever used Humble Bundle?
No.
So like the idea is just you pay, I think it's like £12 monthly, something like that, and you get a bundle of about 10 to 12 games, and the value is always over £100. It's insanely good, but it's always random, so you might end up with something that you don't even. I say random from your point of view,
Mm-hmm.
But I'd let it go for like 4 years without having cashed in like the games. Recently, I got the entirety of all of them from the lists, and now my Steam list is fucking enormous.
Oh,
And
can you sort of backdate them?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And so now
Wow.
I've got shit ton, like, and what I sorted them through like highest rated on Steam, and I'm just going through here and there and just seeing what genre interests me. There's like I didn't know that there was like an RTS Starship Troopers like tower defense. Well, not tower defense, but it's a game that looks interesting to me. But it's on the list of like things I'm gonna have to get through. So I have returned to older games here and there to get them all played up, but I'm still working on new games. I gotta play fucking Expedition 33 at some point.
Yeah,
Everyone's very much hype about that. So
I was,
too many games to
asking my buddy
play.
about. Yeah, sorry.
That's all I was gonna say. It's too many games to play.
Oh yeah, well now, like, if the apocalypse ever happens, you can just lock yourself in a bunker with like all those games and sit.
As long as I have an internet connection, I guess.
Oh yeah, well download them in advance, obviously. But yeah, like I was asking one of my buddies who'd played Expedition 33. It's like, so what's it like? And he just goes, it's French. Yeah, it's just that's all I got from him.
I understand.
Like, okay, cool. Shaker Silver says there's a problem with new media feeling too disposable, particularly from studios looking to churn things out as content to fill a release schedule. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Streaming obviously plays a huge part in that as well.
And honestly, it's had an unfortunate effect of convincing people to treat media as disposable, more so now than they used to.
Yeah, I would say so, because it's so plentiful.
Yeah.
Daily Dose says they should just release every 3 episodes of Andor in theaters. $650 million for 8 movies. Just saying, return is made. Sorry. Right. Just trying to piece together what they were trying to say here. Just saying, yeah, Revenge of the Sith made 45 million. Imagine if each Andor film made 20 million. I mean, that's
they're saying
that's not a great return.
Yeah, if we treat it as though it was 700 million budget to create the 2 seasons, and we split them into 3 movies, which is still, I'm not sure how they were gonna, what that would look like exactly. Not including the marketing for launching those 3 films, and then hoping that they make enough that you can get some level of profit, as opposed to damaging Star Wars's sort of perception, which, by the way, Mando and Grogu is probably going to do. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still with the people who said like Andor as a financial decision probably was not the way to go. I appreciate that it exists. I think it's excellent, but like
yeah, I think probably people would find them. I don't know. Maybe you could trim down the length quite a bit, because if you were to take 3 episodes, like you're getting close to like 3-hour-long movies. Maybe trim each 3-episode block down into like a 2-hour movie. You could get probably enough going on there to keep the pace up, but I still think people would find it too dry and too much of a commitment, and so I don't think it would have much success. But yeah, I guess they're going on the basis that every dollar you make in movie theaters is like something, at least, compared to nothing at all from Disney Plus. But then, like you're pointing out, they have to be promoted, and I'm sure theaters don't just show them out of the goodness of their heart. You would have to get some kind of compelling justification to get a wide release, and I don't know if there would be a strong enough one. Jeremy Soden says balkanization of streaming is encouraging piracy. Yeah, 100% it is. Because if you want to watch everything, you need to have about 8 or 9 different streaming services.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Who the fuck's going to pay for that?
And more of them are shoving more and more ads in now with more and more subscription tiers. It's like, oh, that one that you bought, that one is now the low level one. There's a higher level one. You're like,
yeah. Amazon, I think, are the worst for this now. They're getting fucking abusive with it. And
I need to check my membership on Amazon, because I was watching Clarkson's Farm, and I was like, oh, now you got 3 ads at 90 seconds each. I was like, what?
Yes. That is a lot.
Use me.
And, each of those episodes is maybe 50 minutes long. It's not a lot. So there's a lot of ad breaks to cram in. Yeah, it's just bullshit, man. Particularly for a company that's like rolling in money. They do not need that extra income. Rhonda PG says, question to both of you. Which video game did you know was DOA? For me, it was Disastrous Concord, 8 years of development. Oh, yeah, I remember we read this one out on the night. Yeah. OMG Puppies says, Welsh actors, last time you forgot Richard Burton. Oh, yeah. 2 great films he did were Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Night of the Iguana. I mean, I would say he's probably been in bigger movies than that, but yeah, okay. Night of the Iguana.
Famously a best voice ever. Have you heard of the movie Mr. Burton? Did you see anything about that?
Mr. Burton? No.
Yeah. It didn't come out in my local theater, so I'm going to have to wait a bit longer, but apparently it's about the man who sort of taught Richard Burton the importance of like how to speak and go into where he was. A friend of mine said he watched it and thought it was pretty good, so I'm going to have to see it at some point.
I respect Richard Burton because he's a notorious drinker.
Hell
he was. Yeah, I think halfway through filming, I think it was Where Eagles Dare, he just disappeared for like a week. No one had any clue where he was. He went off around Europe just drinking himself silly and eventually decided to come back to set and then just went back to filming. And I think he was getting through about a bottle of vodka per day. Damn. Which is some good going right there. I mean, how he even like got through his lines, I don't know.
Not to distract, but because this whole thing with Amazon, I was went into my memberships on Amazon. I have a Studio Canal Presents additional access. I assume because one night I wanted to watch something in particular, and that was the only way to get at it. I was like, I better cancel that. I'm apparently paying $4.99 per month for it, so I was like, yeah, definitely worth canceling. And then on the point of cancellation, it says, can we make you an offer, which is you pay half for 3 months and then it'll go back to full? It's like, what? So what?
Like,
I have to.
It's like, I don't want it.
Well, so there's that, but there's also like you be offering me better shit this whole time for all these different things. If I just threaten to cancel them, it's annoying.
Well, of course. Like, have you never threatened to cancel something just to get a better deal?
No, I've never seen this before on these sites.
Like, go to your, like, say, I don't know, your internet provider or something and say, like, yeah, I'm sorry, I've got a better offer from someone else. They will half your fee.
Oh, to be fair, with internet, I think I told you when I upgraded to fiber with, I think, I want to say it's Virgin Media versus I was with EE. When EE phoned me and asked me why I'd be switching, I said that. They were like, yeah, fair. They didn't even try because they didn't have fiber in this area. So like, well,
yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean that's obviously a specific circumstance, but if it is just financial, then most companies will give you like a massive discount to keep you on. Like, yeah, it's just what they do.
Well, if they do it enough, they'll fucking invent an app that just gets all these things for you automatically on all these sites, probably.
Yeah. What's the next one? Yeah. Watt says, between cable companies raising the cost of internet and streaming services raising their prices, old cable TV seems cheaper now. Yeah, I mean, that's where we're heading. They're just adopting the cable model at this point. It's just insane. They've become the thing they swore to destroy.
Yeah.
JD says, I met Warwick Davis in 2003 at a con. They sat him next to the OG Hulk from the 1970s. That'd be Lou Ferrigno, I think. And they couldn't have picked a bigger guy. It was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, Ferrigno was huge. He was about 6'5", I think. So unusually tall for a bodybuilder. The Imperial Brick says Doomsday will be the first movie to make $1 trillion. Sure.
$1 trillion.
Incognito regarding JFK, death of the author kicked in early when she tweeted. I think you mean J.K. Rowling. JFK, when she tweeted details not in the books and endorsed the Cursed Child play. Did she actually?
I don't know.
Wonder what details she tweeted. Is that just like retconning Harry and stuff? Like, I know she'd made comments in the past like, well, there's nothing to say that Harry had to be white and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the kind of thing he's referring to. But no, that's fair if you want to see it as Death of the Author. Damaster says, Iger's counter Netflix vanity project, Disney Plus, is like if Eisner blew billions building video rental stores because he was jealous of Blockbuster. Yeah. Sam Wallace, Vader's lava castle goes all the way back to an early draft of Empire Strikes Back. Apparently, Vader also has a pet crocodile.
Neat.
As you should, everyone. Daily Dose says Ballerina sucks. Eve drops grenades really close to herself constantly and picks a flamethrower over a gun. They have a cult of peaceful assassins. Yeah, Muller and I were talking about Ballerina just before we went on with this. Yeah, I've seen it. He hasn't yet. There's a lot of silly things in it, and the flamethrower is definitely one of them. I'm pretty sure a gun is more effective than a flamethrower. Like,
that's your opinion.
Well, yeah.
Look, a gun is just a flamethrower, but the flames are small and metal.
Yeah, just exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
And yeah, the whole like dropping. God, at one point, like she puts a grenade into a guy's mouth, shoves him behind a steel door, and then braces herself against it. So like the doors, blocked him into the corner of the room. So the grenade goes off. The door obviously protects her. And I was just thinking, okay, you are never going to hear again for the rest of your life. You have just shattered both of your eardrums forever. Like, you cannot be next to, like, a foot away from a grenade that detonates and expect to ever function normally again. But it's fine. Jay Fraser, Drinker and Muller, what 10 essential films do you expect fellow cinephiles from YouTube to watch before entering the open bar? Brawler, watch T2, you hack.
So, I mean, if it was me and Drinkers, like, collective 10, we're probably going to include something like Predator, Aliens, fucking Terminator, a bunch of Commando.
Lord of the Rings trilogy, so that's 3 more.
But like expanding it to things you really, really, really should see, fundamental, like, you probably want to do it for each genre and hit the big ones, like Blade Runner. You want definitely if you're into doing sci-fi.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones for adventure, probably.
Yeah, and then Star Wars. It's almost like just understood that everyone's seen it, but it's like you need to have seen Star Wars.
Yeah, I think all of these like movies are foundational elements of modern pop culture, and so if you haven't seen them, you're not going to understand like the kind of things that we critique now on Open Bar. So I would say they're pretty much essential.
The thing about a lot of these choices is that they are, broadly speaking, things that you just end up seeing. Like that's saying they're essential is only a consequence of the fact that everyone assumes you've seen these things.
Yeah. Maven says, hey Drinker, I highly recommend The Eternaut. Really well done post-apocalypse story from Argentina. I've heard good things about it.
I've seen it.
You have?
On Gary's recommendation. It's how do I put this? So, like, because I don't want to spoil anything. It's I mean, I'll say this much because this is the first, like, I think 15 minutes. It starts to snow, and if the snow touches you, you die. So all the characters have to try and understand what the fuck is going on. And the more the season goes on, it's only 6 episodes. The more it becomes a sci-fi. Let's put it that way. And I like the main character and one other guy. They're very interesting to me, but the rest of the cast a little weak, I'd say. And broadly speaking, this is not a unique perception. I think the season's a little slow. I think it could have used a bit of a shot in the arm because I think they think like the snow stuff and a lot of the elements of trying to survive are way more interesting than I think they were. I think it's a good. I might be being a little unfair because I've seen it so many times, but a lot of it I was just like, yep. This all makes sense. That's all straightforward. When do we find out more about what's happening? Because they speculate about it, and then you have a few things happen that are just inexplicable, and then when you get to like I think episode 3, the end of episode 3 is where you go like, oh shit, what? And you're like, yeah, things are going on. So it's a wonky recommendation, I guess. Like it's I said to Gary that I wish season 2 were out because if I saw that, I'd be then probably more confident in recommending it. because right now it's very much in its infancy, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, okay. Might be interested to check out all the same. Chris says, I'm just happy that Disney doesn't own the Iron Giant. I think you should be, yeah. Daily Dose says, also, Ballerina said that John made a full recovery in just a month or two after John Wick 3, and for some reason he works for the people that he was cast out from. So, I think this is set before the events of John Wick 3.
Is it?
I could be wrong. Like, I'm just... yeah, like, that was my understanding, but I could be wrong on that one. Well, yeah, I would need to know the chronology exactly, because, like, my detailed knowledge of John Wick 2 and 3 is a bit non-existent. Like, I've watched them, but like it didn't exactly give me an encyclopedic knowledge of the series.
I'm shocked that anyone couldn't remember the difference between 2, 3, and 4 at this point.
Yeah. John Wick 3 is the one where he gets like shot and then he falls off a building at the end. Like he's on the roof of the Continental and he's okay. Sure. Toucan can says, somehow Palpatine Returned has got to be the worst line ever. Revenge of the Sith is the worst movie-going experience of my life. I mean, it's definitely up there.
Do they mean
Rise of Skywalker? Sorry, it's just ROS. My brain went into autopilot there.
All right, I got you.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. I mean, it's quite hilariously bad.
Sure is.
I think I might have asked you this, but I'll read it again. Jay Fraser says, Muller, are you aware and looking forward to the new Mike Flanagan sci-fi drama, The Life of Chuck, due on 6th of June?
Yes, I will be, as I mentioned, checking out anything that he makes, but there's that, and then there's his Carrie TV show that he'll be making that I'll be paying close attention to as well. It's a shame he's done with Netflix because they were producing like a show per 2 years and they were a good gamble on entertainment, but that's over. So, hey, he's also written the script for Clayface. We'll see if that turns out
yay
or not.
Nate says, what's the most taboo film or series that could be remade? For me, it's Lord of the Rings.
Taboo?
Yeah, I think what he means is like, something you should never ever try to remake because they just got it right first time.
Right.
I mean, for me, it's Back to the Future. Like, there's just no possible way you could remake those movies.
Okay, so the thing that I most don't want to be remade, is it?
Exactly.
I mean, Lord of the Rings would be up there. I guess from my own personal thing would be Buffy and Angel. I want no one touching them ever.
Yeah. That's understandable. 007 Angelo says, Drinker, did you get the pic that I sent to your WhatsApp? No. I'm not sure who you are, and I don't imagine you would have my WhatsApp details. So unless like you're someone that I know already and this is like a different name, not sure. Thinking Heretic says, Gizmo versus Yoda in Dagobah. Who wins?
I mean, it's got to be Yoda, right?
Well, he's got the home advantage, hasn't he?
Are we suggesting that Gizmo sprints to the swamp to try and multiply into an army of gremlins, but then Yoda just fucking breaks his neck?
I would assume so, yeah. He could just like force choke all of them to death. Cyberjar says, and I'm going to have to read this backwards, actually, join the Navy. That's a nice Simpsons reference there. Ultrafine Point says, okay, Critical Drinker, I've always wanted to ask this. Have you ever watched Jackie Chan's Drunken Master? The Drunken Master watching the Drunken Master. That would be great. I saw it once, like, or at least most of it, and I remember it being really funny. Like, it's just Jackie Chan doing his thing. Like, yeah, it's a decent little Jackie Chan movie. A lot of fun. He has a lot of, he has a lot of inventive fun with the premise of it. And yeah, I just love the idea of like this drunken asshole who can fight really well. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
The Napski. Best start to Doomsday. Evans/Hydra Cap fights Mackie Cap and Torres Falcon, kills them both as Bucky arrives, then Bucky and Hydra Cap fight like Winter Soldier all over again. Ooh, it's like poetry, man. It rhymes. It's just
and then
reversing
Bucky beats Cap, takes the shield and says, I guess I'm Captain America now, and then credits.
Yeah, that's it. Like the movie's like 12 minutes long. It cost $500 million.
They keep bragging about how like the budget was so low, and we all see it. We're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
All right.
Taker 610 says Chungus Jedi is immune to a force push. I mean, he possibly could be. Yeah. Is there a mass limit to it?
I mean, there must be, but I think even the most powerful, like Rey, could move that guy, right? She's powerful enough to do that.
She can move whole planets and just throw them around. John Gets Gaming says, who here has seen the 2003 Clone Wars micro series? Still the best Star Wars show. Also, I will offend all British saying that Expedition 33 is amazing and French. I don't think those two things can go together, can they? Is that possible?
We'll allow it, legally speaking. There will be a visitation just to check a couple of other elements, That's what we always do with statements like that.
Sharpsticks says, I had 2 movies for you to review. One was Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, and I can't remember the other one. Okay. You're doing God's work, or some God's work, I'm sure of it. Well, we do our best here. Thank you. John Gets Gaming says, I'll fix the Empire's problems. Have scientists say that Gorman needs evacuated due to environmental disasters, and any dissenters are misinformation. What do you reckon, Muller? Could that work?
Well, so they did try to. There's a lot of suggestions, like they said, were they releasing a virus or doing something else? The writers are obviously didn't want to spend too much time going over why all of those different things may or may not work. So they had that line, if you remember, where some Imperial says we gamed it out over a course of like however long to see what strategies were best, and that this one was the most likely to work.
Yeah, I mean I think that's enough to cover it, really.
Yeah,
so that's fair. Jimber Jamber says, why does Orlando Bloom always sound like he's putting on a fake English accent despite actually being English? I don't know. It's weird. Ultra Fine Point, Terminator 2 is one of the best sci-fis ever. Damn right. TJ Crink says, forgive me if this has been talked about already, but have you seen the 007 Last Light game trailer? Made by the same devs as the Hitman games. Looks good. I will do a trailer reaction on my gaming channel. How's that? Jeremy Soden says, I admire The Shining film, but it's a bad adaptation and it treats Jack Torrance badly. The book has more nuance. Yeah, but I think...
you can go first if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think the book's trying to accomplish something different. It's much more about like the family dynamics and like a man getting pushed to breaking point by this environment. Whereas the movie is much more about he's already kind of descending into madness, and it's just it's much more playing upon the horror aspect. And I think it works. It works fine in the context of the movie for me.
It's a fascinating little example of history because it is not only considered unfaithful by like hardcore fans, but also the author of the original book, but simultaneously is considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So complicated.
It's probably done something right.
Well, that lives on one end of the spectrum of the discussion of faithfulness, while the other, I'd say at this point, has now been filled by The Last of Us 2. It's like, please do not be faithful, otherwise you'll end up doing some really bad shit, which they managed to not only be shit, by adapting faithfully, but they're also on their own terms. They managed to be super shit.
It's impressive.
Yeah, good for them.
And last of all is Toucan says, my hottest take, Return of the King shouldn't have won Best Picture. The other two should have, but Return of the King should have lost to Master and Commander. Master and Commander is a really good movie, and I wouldn't have been sad if that had won Best Picture, but I'm all right that Return of the King got it.
It's a weird situation because some people would say that part of the reason it won would be to make up for the fact that Fellowship and Two Towers were almost snubbed by it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a cultural thing sometimes.
It's almost like a combined award for the whole trilogy, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really like Master and Commander, but probably do if I had to lose that or Return of the King, got to keep Return of the King.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, that right there was the final one. That was the last of the super chats. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that. We appreciate it as always. And we've done our best to answer them for you tonight. Hopefully we kept you entertained for an hour or so. And yeah, the next time that you see us will most likely be on Open Bar 146. Although you might just see me on my gaming channel tomorrow doing a live stream with the Residents of Evil guys. We're going to be talking about the new Resident Evil trailer and various other things. But for now, that's all we got for today. So go away now.
Bye-bye.